Woo-wee. It's nice outside today, y'all. Hope you guys are having a good rest of your day, start your day, whatever time it may be. We're about to take the Shelby out, man. Beginning of the year, I'm trying to go ahead and give you guys some information on these cars. I know a lot of guys have been asking about some things to look at before picking up your very own Shelby GT350, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that in this vid. I got this car detailed, and I'm telling you guys this right now, a detail makes a whole lot of difference, especially when you get the Alcantara cleaned. God damn, it's pretty insane. Let's get a cold start. It's gonna be relatively loud. This car hasn't been this clean in a hot minute, which really ain't that good. But I'm gonna pull the car out, and then we'll be on our way. All right, so we are on the road. It's always a nice time to go ahead and cruise to Shelby when the weather is nice. It's supposed to start storming again in the next couple of days, so I gotta get it out of my system right now, man. I still love just cruising this car in the quiet mode, even though there really isn't necessarily a quiet mode for a catless 350, man. That's the one thing about the S550s. I make it apparent every time I jump in this car versus the new Edge. It's just, you can just cruise these cars. I got my seat back, everything's within arm's reach. I just need to go ahead and put in that screen, and then, I'm, leaning back, just big chilling. But let's go ahead and put this thing in the track mode. Open it up a little bit. So gotta let the oil warm up. It's not hot anymore out here in Texas, so it takes some time for this thing to warm up. What is it at right now? 162. Yeah, it's nowhere near where it needs to be. Whew. I'm gonna pull up to a spot, and we gonna talk about the things you should be looking out for when trying to pick up a 2016 through 2020 Shelby GT350. Now, considering the fact we're in the car, and I guess we can go ahead and talk about this right now. Ooh, that's a nice C6 over there. I think that's a, is that a Grand Sport? It's not a Z06. No. C6 base, but still really nice. Still want a Corvette. But I think I should start with the C5, specifically the Z06. But something you should be looking out for when picking up a Shelby GT350, especially if you're somebody who just wants to jump into this platform and enjoy it for what it is. I 100% would look for one that is as close to stock as possible. 100% stock or tastefully modified. Now, what I mean by tastefully modified, I mean catback exhaust at most, maybe a short throw shifter, things that can be removed, replaced, in a garage with hand tools in 45 minutes or less. Now, when I was looking for my GT350, I wanted one as close to stock as possible. The only thing that this car had done when I did purchase it was the Ford Performance short throw shifter, which I do like. Obviously, I do believe the MGW could potentially be better, but the way that the gearboxes are set up in the S550s, I do like the Ford Performance short throw. Oh, I'm thinking I'm in the damn 2 valve right now. I do like the Ford Performance short throw. Very easy to go ahead and just shift the car. Very easy. Ooh, we got a nice little backfire. To rev match, downshift, everything is within arm's reach. There is no type of annoying, you know, reaching you gotta do. There isn't like any annoying stiffness with it. It's perfect. Do I think MGW could be better? Yeah, but is it worth replacing? Probably not. Now, something else that was done to my car when I did actually pick mine up is it did have a different exhaust. It came with the Ford OEM Performance catback made by Borla. Now, that's not really an aftermarket mod. It's like an OEM plus mod. I mean, it's still Ford. It still has Ford stamped on it. So I would say this car was basically stock when I bought it. And that's something that I would definitely look into when trying to pick up a Shelby GT350. I wouldn't buy one with headers already done. I would not buy one with, you know, boost. 100% wouldn't buy one boosted. I wouldn't buy one with nitrous, cold jet intake. I would try to find one that has all of the factory components as possible. Now that also goes for, you know, wheels as well, body parts, you know, hoods. I still have my stock hood, trunk. Try to find one that has not really been touched, so you can, quote unquote, build the car how you want it, or enjoy it from the factory, because these cars are definitely one of the very few cars on the market that I feel that you can purchase and do literally nothing, maybe minor modifications like, you know, changing the catback, changing the shift knob or the short throw shifter, maybe go ahead and get an X pipe, you know, things that could be done in 45 minutes or less for under $1,000 and enjoy it. Now, this car has been on the same setup pretty much 45 days after I bought it. It's just long tube headers, JLT Cold Air Intake. It has the Ford Borla Performance catback. It also has the short throw shifter, man. I mean, and I'm really satisfied with it. I've had no complaints as far as the way the car sounds and also just the way the car performs. Downshifts are crisp. I'll let you guys hear it on the way back before we go to my little spot. Now, something else, I don't know if you guys can hear it, if it picks up on camera, but this is something that you want to be taking a look at with the 15 through 18s. I believe the late model 18s remedied this issue, but this is something that I believe like all the Ford parts have. The stock shifter, as well as the Ford short throw shifter, like the retaining nut that holds the shift knob, sometimes it'll back out due to the vibrations, you know, with the transmission. So you might hear like a buzzing sound, especially when you're driving fast, shifting, you know, at high RPMs. You're gonna have to go ahead and constantly tighten that. Obviously, you don't really want to be using Loctite. I would stay away from Loctite around the shift knob and transmission area. It's just one of those good faith things that, you know, you don't really want to be using Loctite, because if you need to remove something, you know, it's gonna make it 10 times harder. But that's something you want to keep in mind. My car doesn't. It's not a big deal. They back out, you know, every, you know, 2,000–3,000 miles. So you're just gonna have to tighten it up. But over the exhaust, you really can't hear anything. Which I'm gonna open it up right now for you guys so you can hear it. You can hear how loud this thing is. least I enjoy it. It's like the downshifts, man. Just these cars got that bite that I absolutely love. I know a lot of people enjoy also. Hear that little retainer nut vibrating. Whew. All right, we're about to pull up my little spot real quick, away from all the noise, hopefully away from all the noise. You guys can hear what I'm saying without having to yell. They probably watch me on the security cam like, what is this guy doing over here? Last thing about this spot is people don't really fuck it up. They don't be doing burnouts or any of that dumb shit, donuts. You know, only time there's like donut lines is probably people who work here, something like that. But for the most part, you know, it's basically chill back here, especially over here. Like, it's basically chill. So we about to park it up and we will continue this video. All right, as you guys can see, I did get the car detailed. It makes a massive difference inside and out, man. You can finally see, you know, the carbon in the hood shining. We don't got too many bugs, but that's probably gonna change pretty quick. On the front bumper, overall, she looking good, man. It's crazy like how much a proper wash and detail does make. Shout out to Exclusive Details in Texas. That's my boy, Mobile Detailing. Hit him up. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, behind me is my 2016 Shelby GT350 Mustang. My GT350 has 19,000 miles on it currently, and I did buy it with 10,800. With it being a 2016, this is the original Gen 1 motor, the Gen 1 Voodoo. There are two generations, 16 through 18 have the Gen 1, and 19 through 20 have the Gen 2. The Gen 2 is going to have a little bit more revised internals, and also they allegedly fixed a lot of the oil consumption issues that some of the Gen 1s did suffer from. My car does not suffer the oil consumption issue that a lot of the Gen 1s do have. The most amount of oil that I've seen my car consume was about half a quart, but that was during the Texas 2K weekend, or I should say right after the Texas 2K weekend. This car saw 8250 all week, 4 days straight, over 1,000+ miles. So if you ask me, that's pretty damn good, especially for a Gen 1. Obviously, pretending to knock on everything, that is the most amount of oil consumption that I've seen so far with the car. Now, because this is a 2016 Shelby GT350, this also is a track pack car. Now, the 2016 models had the track pack as well as the tech pack. If you are looking at a 2016 Shelby GT350, I highly recommend you picking up the track pack version, because you're gonna have the oil cooler as well as the transmission cooler as well. Now, obviously, after 2016, 2017 prior, they all came with the coolers, but you are gonna be saving yourself a good amount of change looking for a 2016 track pack car, because Ford decided to put the good old calculator screen in these cars. Now, in their defense, if you're buying a Mustang, you're definitely not buying it for the interior, especially for a GT350, because these cars are all about the driver experience. So, you know, you're looking at the tachometer, the speedometer, you're looking at the track, making sure you're keeping the car on the road, as opposed to flipping through, you know, your favorite song. Now, I'm gonna do this part of the video inside the car because I have no idea how bad the wind noise is. Hopefully it isn't too bad, but we are gonna be talking about pricing, which is very important, for a used vehicle, especially a 2016 through 2020 Shelby GT350. Now, because this is a used car, you're gonna have to budget accordingly. For my car specifically, because it is a 2016 track pack car, not a tech pack, I was able to get, in my personal opinion, a very good deal. I paid 50 grand for this car, 50,000, and this car had 10,800 miles on it. Now, with it being a Gen 1, if you are looking for a 2016 through 2018 Shelby GT350, your budget is going to have to be within the 50 through high 50, low $60,000 price range. Realistically, I see a lot of 2016 through 2018 Shelby GT350s with around 8 to 10,000 miles, no more than 10, around that 55, 58, sometimes $60,000 price point, depending on the color. Now, because this is a triple yellow car, this did come with the black and white pinstripes. It's one of the rarer colors, so I feel like I got a very, very good deal, considering the fact that I paid $50,000 for this. If I wanted to sell this car, I know I'd be in the W. I owe less than what the car is worth, and that's something you should definitely go ahead and take a look at if you are going to be taking a loan, financing one of these vehicles. If the cars pay for themselves, it is what it is. That's something that was very important when I was going ahead and researching what Shelby GT350 was right for me. Now, if you guys are looking for a Gen 2 Shelby GT350 with, you know, obviously the Gen 2 Voodoo and some of the other, you know, interior upgrades, the carbon fiber on, you know, the panels, as well as the revised shifter and everything, or I should say the shifter area, you are going to be looking at a little bit of a more expensive budget. You're going to have to be looking for cars in the $60,000 price range at minimum. Realistically, what I've seen is like 62, 63, 65. Sometimes they can get up to $70,000 if they are lower mile cars. But $70,000, in my personal opinion, is a little high for Shelby GT350. If you are looking at the $70,000 price point, I'd personally start looking at GT350Rs. I'd start saving up a little bit more for that, because $70K for a GT350, even though it is a Gen 2, in my personal opinion, that is going to be quite steep. But at the same time, I feel like 62 to 65, you should be able to find a 2019 through 2020 Shelby GT350, which obviously, again, is a Gen 2 car. Gen 1s, you're gonna have a little bit of a more forgiving budget. I'd say 50 realistically right now, 52 to realistically, you know, $55,000. You should be able to find a car 100%, no problem, the color, the spec you want. All right, let's go ahead and jump out the car. It is way too nice to be sitting inside. Weather's amazing, birds are chirping. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too crazy. Let's go ahead and talk about mileage, because that's very important when trying to buy a used car, specifically a sports car like a Shelby GT350. Oh, the wind is coming in. But hopefully it's not too bad. Now, like I said previously, my car had 10,800 miles when I did buy it. It now has 19,000 miles on it. Now, I did not want to buy a GT350 that had over 12,000 miles. That's just my personal preference. 12K was a little bit too much. 10K was kind of right on the money, because I wanted to have a car that had at least 3 oil change intervals before I had to pick it up. With these cars, you're supposed to change the oil every 3,000 miles. So I wanted to make sure that I bought a car that, you know, was driven, not rode hard, that was also maintained. Now, obviously with the newer vehicles, you know, you're gonna probably find them with, you know, 4,000 miles, 5,000 miles. I try to look for a Shelby GT350. It was a Gen 2. I'd look for one that has at least 4,000 miles on it. I would not want to buy a car that has potentially the factory oil that was in it since 2019. I'd want one that was, you know, at least driven, you know, maintained, you know, had a little checkup. You know what I'm saying? That's just for my own security. That's why I wanted to get, you know, one that had at least 10,000 or 3 oil change intervals done to it. But that's overall going to be, you know, personal preference. If you want a low mile car like 2,000 miles, all power to you. But considering the fact that I bought this car to drive, to enjoy, I wanted to make sure that, you know, it was maintained for the most part, and it was. Now, something else that we're going to be talking about is going to be the interiors of these vehicles. Now, some Shelby GT350s have the comfort seats. For me personally, it was Recaros or nothing. I was not gonna buy a Mustang, specifically a GT350, that did not have the Recaros. In my personal opinion, the Recaros are very, very comfortable. I know some people who don't like the Recaros whatsoever. They say they're annoying, but these are probably one of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in. These are more comfortable than the comfort seats that are in my 99, which came out of an S197 Mustang, and these are, you know, bucket seats essentially. So I love the Recaros. So if you're thinking about picking up a GT350, definitely sit in one first. Make sure, you know, the car is the right feel for you, because if you don't like the way the car feels sitting in the cockpit, then obviously, you know, you're not gonna really enjoy it driving. And you know, there ain't really no point buying a car that you're not gonna enjoy driving. So I'd definitely go ahead, sit in one, feel it out, make sure, you know, it's how you want it. Make sure the seating position is nice. Make sure, you know, the car feels like, you know, you're sitting in the car, not on top of the car. If you know, you know. And I feel like the Shelby GT350 is perfect because, you know, it's a bigger Mustang, quote unquote bigger Mustang, compared to like the new edges and whatnot, but it feels really, really nice. It feels like you're inside the car and everything is legitimately within arm's reach. And that's something that I really, really enjoy about these vehicles. And that's going to be the same with, you know, 16 through 20. So that's something I would definitely go ahead and look out for. Make sure you sit in one, the comfort seat, the Recaro seat. But I feel like Recaro seats are, you know, a massive W, and something that, you know, it literally makes a GT350 interior. Like, I'd rather have the calculator screen than, you know, the regular seats, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm crazy, I don't know, but it is what it is. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some of the body imperfections, because, oh yeah, there are some, even with a Shelby GT350. A lot of it is fixable, not a big deal. I was able to get it fixed really, really quickly. Oh, the wind's coming in quite crazy right now. So let's go ahead and hurry this up. Now, coming along the front of the car, again, hopefully the wind noise isn't too crazy. You want to make sure the front lip isn't banged up. These cars are relatively low. Now, this is actually not the same OEM front lip that I did get when I bought the car. I replaced this with a new one. I actually have another new one in the box, OEM. I like to keep one on deck at all times just in case. But when I did buy this car, the front lip was in good condition. It had some scrapes underneath, and this car actually did have the canards on it, which I didn't really like, so I took them off and replaced the front lip at the same time just to get a fresh look. So you want to make sure that, you know, the front lip's in good condition, the front bumper is in good condition as well. Not too many rock chips. If you're going to be driving the car hard, you know, you can maybe, you know, let a couple rock chips slide. But this is something you want to think about. Ooh, the wind noise. Hopefully it's not bad, y'all. I do apologize. But if you do take off your front bumper, you want to make sure that, you know, you put it on, you know, all the way, because you guys can see here, if you don't put it on properly, you will get a little bit of the gap right here. This is something that, you know, it's just user error. You can't really even notice it. The only time that I remembered to even show this is because I'm making this video. I've never had anybody say anything, and I have some pretty meticulous friends, so you know, this is one of those things where you can fix by taking off the front bumper. But I just haven't done it yet, because when I take off this front bumper again, it's to go ahead and fit an intercooler. So I'm kind of saving that for the right time. But something you definitely want to take a look at, this is something I didn't know about the 2015 to the 2017 Mustangs, is sometimes the paint will actually get oxidization underneath it. You can see like this slight bubbling here. This is something you want to pay attention to. Now, I've been paying attention to this. If it gets bad, you simply have to take it to a body shop, have them sand it down, and then, you know, respray over the contaminated part. So keep that in mind. Not a big deal. Again, can't really even notice it. The only time that I am noticing it, remembering it, is because I'm making this video. And also with the 15s through 17s, I believe they started to fix this at 2018. Definitely fixed it 19 through 20, is the rear bumper sag. Now, the way I went ahead and fixed it is just took the car to a body shop, had them take off the rear bumper, excuse me, and put it back on. Literally, You can also go ahead and fix it by getting hardware from the 19 through 20s. So if this starts to sag again, that's really what I'm gonna do. Take it off and use the 19 through 20 hardware to go ahead and mount it up, and it will fix the sag. But for the most part, that's what you wanna be looking at. Just wanna make sure the car is in good condition, and if there is some, you know, minor imperfections, stuttering right now. I apologize, y'all. Make sure it's some things that could be fixed, you know, quickly and also cheap if you do have to go ahead and spend some money. But for the most part, I'm really enjoying the car. Oh, also something else you gotta want to go ahead and keep in mind with these rear deck lids. You guys can see here, sometimes from factory they don't really line them up properly. You can see that kind of paint chip right there, and the way to fix this is to actually remove the trunk, refit it lined up properly, and then obviously use some touch-up paint there, which I do need to go ahead and do. I actually am contemplating getting a carbon trunk for this car, but if I do get a carbon trunk, obviously hit that with some paint correction and fit the carbon trunk. But I don't know, I think I want to just leave it the way it is, man. I like it. I like the OEM Plus look, you know what I'm saying? That's why I got the carbon fiber hood OEM style from Anderson's Composite, because I just like the way these cars look, the way it is. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty much the outside of the car and what to take a look at. Now in the interior, obviously you want to make sure the door jambs are clean, you know, feet kind of get that dirty. I got some WeatherTech mats just to go ahead and, you know, make sure things are clean in here. There's a lot of construction in my area, so you get that kind of road residue, whatever, in here. But for the most part, you know, it is clean. In the 19 through 20s, they do kind of stiffen up the center console area so it doesn't rattle, but again, you really can't hear any of it if you're inside the car driving. So something that I would take a look at if you are looking for a Shelby GT350, man. The sound deadening in this car is amazing. I currently have the seat back out of here, but you know, very daily drivable, and you know, it's not even loud when you start the car, which I'm gonna do right now. Very livable. All right, so we're on the road again. As I said, man, even with the seat backs down, super livable just driving this car. You could daily drive it if you wanted to, you know what I'm saying? There was a period of time, like a month or so, that this was my quote-unquote daily driver, and it, you know, it was perfectly fine. Would I do it now? No, because I don't really have to. But if I had to daily drive this car, I wouldn't think twice about it. Definitely easy to drive. Clutch is very light. That's something that I really enjoy about the stock clutch on here. These stock clutches, realistically, you know, if you're thinking about boosting the car and you just want to keep that like stock feel, and you only want to make like 700 horsepower, if you're not beating on the car, I mean, I know a couple guys who are making, you know, 750 on the stock clutch, and you know, the car will drive like stock, you know, around town, which is very nice. And that's something you definitely can't get out of a lot of vehicles, especially nowadays. So that's something to think about when going ahead and deciding if a Shelby GT350 is right for you. Now, as far as maintenance goes, because I've had a couple of you know, boosted cars, supercharged turbo, all on E85, one that was strictly on 93. I maintain my cars a little bit differently. I change my oil, you know, every, you know, 2,000 to 3,000 miles, depending on, you know, how I drive the car. But for the GT350 specifically, when this car was on 93, I changed it every, you know, 2,500 miles. And now that it is on E85, just for my own personal, you know, assurance, I change it every 16 to 2,000, depending on, you know, what the motor is telling me. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna beat on the car a lot, I'm gonna change it at 16. If I'm just gonna drive it, I'm gonna change it every 2,000 because the car is, again, on E85. Like if I'm driving it like this, which is honestly how I drive it a majority of the time right now, because I just love just cruising the car and hearing it, you know what I'm saying? Because it is a newer car, newer to me compared to my 99. You know, I don't really need to be beating on it 24/7. I would change it, you know, 2,000. But I'm going crazy when I boost it. Definitely gonna be changing it like every 15, 1,600 miles. Again, depending on what the motor is telling me. And I use Amsoil 5W50 full synthetic, and I use an OEM GT350 oil filter, because with the 2016s they are the spin-on, and with the 2017s they are the cartridges. And with the spin-ons, you 100% want to make sure that you have the oil wrench, and if you don't have the oil wrench, get a factory oil wrench so you can torque it down to the proper specs, which it does say very conveniently on the top of the oil filter itself. But you guys can see it, man, just driving around regularly, this car is literally fully catless, and it's very, very, very livable. Go ahead and put it in the fun mode, and it's still very, very livable. I mean, in 6th gear, it's quiet. It's dead quiet. It's the quietest car that I've owned, legitimately, you know, sports car wise, with you know, a full catless exhaust. So these cars 100% could be daily driven, and they could be quiet if you want them to be quiet. Like I said, right now we're having a full conversation. I'm not yelling nothing, and it's very, very, very livable. Road noise is at a minimum because it is a quote-unquote newer car, and the sound deadening in these S550s are light years more advanced than on the new Edge Mustangs. Obviously, you know, we're talking about a 20-year difference here. But when you start downshifting, that's when this thing starts to really, really open up. So yeah, man, if you are thinking about buying a Shelby GT350 in 2024, this is the year to go ahead and make it happen. I do a rip down this road, but there's a cop back there in an undercover car, and with me being in a yellow car that's, you know, loud from the outside, that really isn't a good idea. So if you guys enjoy, want to stay up to date with the content, some things I'll be doing in this car very, very shortly is I'm actually going to change the shifter. I'm going to go with something a little bit different, something I really haven't seen done to this car. Nothing crazy, nothing right, so don't worry about that. And I'm finally going to go ahead and swap out this center console, because you know, I don't mind the calculator screen, but I think it's time to go ahead and upgrade. So if you guys are enjoying the content, feel free, drop a like in the vid, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications, and I'm gonna catch you guys